Okay, so the first question is, what power do these women claim that women have?
That their beauty is like a power over men.
Yeah, I think there was a quote from like from the first poem. Let me try to find. Oh, oh yeah, go gird thyself with grace, collect thy store of bright artillery, glancing from afar, soft melting tones thy thundering cannons roar, blushes and fears thy magazine of war. So yeah, like you're saying, they're just using their beauty as a means to combat like the patriarchy that's going on in this time.
Is that through the chat? I can't hear very well. There's some television going on somewhere.
I think more than a power, women are claiming to have equality of sexes. Um, that's what I think.
I think the first author, I don't know if you read this really, but it said, yes, injured women rise, assert thy right. Women too long degraded, born depressed, and born to rule in partial walls to sweat. Resume thy native empire repressed. So it sounds kind of like well, the first author saying like women have ruled in the past, like it was in our nature to rule and have power, and um, equal to a man. Now is the time where we have to like return to it.
Can you send that to the message as well?
Yeah.
Sorry, but there's a television from someone's home that is really, really loud that I can't hear what anyone say. Can you turn that off?
It's probably my dad. Papi!
Sorry, I just
No,
can't
that
hear.
but I'll copy that.
Is it better now?
Yep, thank you, Nicholas.
Yeah, it was my dad, sorry.
Okay.
Okay, let's go to the next one. How is beauty a benefit for weddings?
I think we already said talking about how Anna Barbald she's like telling these women to gird thyself with grace, or like use their beauty as like something to help them to like overpower, or, like kind of trick the men
Yeah.
into, I don't know, having them not be inferior to men anymore.
Yeah, there's some part of that. Let me find the quote. Oh, here. It says, try all that wit and art suggests to them of thy imperial code double meaning. So, like, the first sentence was like, you just try all the things like the wit can be like intelligence and the what is that called? The art can mean like their beauty or their words or yeah, the trick. Try to trick the man to let them um, rule.
Yeah, like even though beauty was like a power to them, I guess in a way,
Yeah.
but like it only becomes a hindrance when people think that like their beauty is all that they're worth. And or I guess if there were like women that weren't considered beautiful, then that was a problem in those days because no one saw them as like anything else. But the second author, in the chapter 3, she's like describing how that women aren't like that much worse than men when she says such a woman is not more irrational monster than some of the Roman emperors. And she just like describes like women haven't done these crazy things, so why are you being so hard on women?
Mm-hmm.
I think there's a lot of gender discrimination in these writings, but as Taylor said, the benefit that women had was the beauty on them, so that was the only way to adapt men to their lifestyles, that the woman lifestyles that they had, probably.
I think chapter 2 of the author. Chapter 2 was almost completely just like all the hindrances that women have. Like she was acknowledging basically like where women stood in her time period, which was not very good. This quote, it says, "Women are told from their infancy and taught by the example of their mothers that a little knowledge of human weakness, justly termed cunning, softness of temper, outward obedience, and a scrupulous attention to a puerile kind of propriety will obtain from them the protection of a man beautiful for their lives." So she's basically saying, like, if you're obedient and beautiful, then you don't have to worry about anything for at least 20 years of your life, because then you're not beautiful anymore. And so I guess you're kind of not as useful in society after that point.
Yeah, and I like how the second author mentioned how like these women, like people think that these women are only like useful for like their beauty, and they're like nice to look at, and their beauty like gets them like a husband and things like that. But that's only because like they haven't been taken seriously throughout like history. They haven't been given the opportunity to like learn how to do other things than just to like look for a husband or something. And that's because they're not taken seriously. They're only like thought of as these idols. Like the first poem said, they're the courted idol of mankind. Like they're just looked at as these. They're put on like on a pedestal. That they should be these like soft, graceful people, and that's it. That's it. Like, what do you really expect when they're not given like certain opportunities to learn?
That reminds me of, if you take any humanities classes, like if you take a literature class or art class, you're probably gonna have to take like, there'll be a section on like why there aren't any famous women authors, why aren't there any famous.
Well, like there
Just
were
for
women
a big
authors.
portion. And some of them argue, the argument is
They
like
had to like
they had to work so much harder
yeah.
out there and get known. Like a female
Or
painter
like,
for a long time, you couldn't really be a famous female painter.
yeah,
Like
or they
go
like
to a painting, like, get educated.
yeah, or they like had to pretend to be a man, like write under a man's name.
Yeah, exactly. So it's more like what Keely was saying. They just didn't have the opportunities yet
Yeah.
to showcase that they do have the same abilities.
Yeah, like they didn't have the education, like probably their education was disorganized, like I don't know, like fragmented, like random education. Not like men that they were educated to be like someone. That's what I think.
Yeah, and like women were only educated in like music and like manners and like cooking, things that were seen as like
Yeah.
woman jobs.
Yeah.
Okay, and the next question is, are women portrayed as inferior to men in these writings?
The first one, I definitely think so, or in the poem. The second one, I don't know, she
I
kind of
think.
had mixed messages, but overall, I think yes.
Yeah, I think the second one is the one who woman looks inferior, like the most. I think that one.
I think that they were both like talking about how like they see how women are inferior to men definitely. Um, but I think they both like at the same time they're both like wanting that to like not be a thing anymore. There's a
Yeah.
quote in chapter 3 that said, "But I still insist that not only the virtue but the knowledge of the two sexes should be the same in nature, if not in degree, and that women, considered not only as moral but rational creatures, ought to endeavor to acquire human virtues by the same means as men." And then even at the end of the poem, it says like, "In nature school by herself, Maxims taught that separate rights are lost in mutual love." So even like her like rooting for women to like rise up and like join together against men, even at the end she says that like this could all like not even be happening if like we realize that women have rights too and like they love each other and stuff.
Yeah, I feel like both authors were like acknowledging where women were at in their time period. Like, especially the second author, she was saying a lot of like why women were inferior at the time, and she did acknowledge like physical strength. Like, women are usually generally born like smaller, you know. But she was saying like intellectually they are the same. We just haven't been given opportunities. And I think the first writer was pretty much saying the same thing, even more so. Just kind of, she was even saying like kind of women can do anything.
Yeah, and like in the second author in the third chapter at the very end, she says, "Women I allow may have different duties to fulfill, but they are human duties." So like I think she's saying that even if their duties are different, like why does that make them inferior? Like what does that have to
Yeah.
do with it?
Yeah, I think on the second one, the woman is being attacked the whole time, um, because I feel like they think that the lifestyle that woman has is not like acceptable. Like they have to be what they were, just like worry about the house things and just adapt to the lifestyle that their husband had. And I think that the women just were attacked too much on the second chapter.
Okay, and the next question is, do women need to rely on men in these writings?
I feel like they do because it was like the only option they had back in that time. Like they used their beauty to attract men because that was the only way to, I don't know, probably have a family, or just like they needed to be with someone, so they had to basically rely on men because they were the ones who work and stuff. Sorry.
So for me, for the second, the poem, The Rise of Woman, tells me that, well, the poem, she kind of wrote it in a two, like, different meaning. So, like, at first it's, like, all about, like, women will rule the world and, like, women, they can stand on their own and all kind of things. It's like all about women, very like feminine. But then like at the very end, and then like she talks about how like it would, but like it would be better if men and women would understand each other and love and like trust each other. Like it's a um, what did it say? Okay, like at the very end, like that separate rights are lost in mutual love. Like the separate rights are the thing that like yeah, like women want to have their rights and have their stand, and then men have their own. But then it will be gone. It will be faded away with the mutual love and trust that they have for each other. So in a way, like not that like it's better. I feel like she wrote it's better to have each other. Does it necessarily need a man? I don't know about that, but I feel like if that's what she's saying, it would be better to have each other.
I think with these, like both of these articles are like, I would consider them like feminist writing, I guess. But with the second one talking about, oh, we want women to be educated alongside men, like in order for that to happen, you need men that are also feminists to be like on your side of the cause, or nothing's ever going to change. Like they had to have an education system, so they had to let into schools with men, have male teachers, like kind of what you were saying, is like more of an integration. But I think you need men to be a part of that. You can't have, female empowerment only through women.
So next question.
It said Mary Wollstonecraft, so that's the chapter 2 and chapter 3, points out that beauty was important to women because it helped them find a man to rely on, which we talked about that a bit. Does Barbald agree with the idea that women need to rely on men?
Well, I think I was just talking about that one. That as I'm reading for my interpretation, as I'm reading about like the poem The Rise of Woman, I do not feel like any part of the poem said it needs like that woman needs to rely on a man. Like there's just no I don't see it.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like the first one is like telling women to like overthrow the patriarchy. I feel like it's really like a kind of a little bit of aggressive, and the second writing isn't at all. I think the second writing more like acknowledges, I don't know, like society's perspective, and the first writing is very anti-patriarchy. And I think Keely read this quote, but I'll just read it again. Go forth, Raiden, Panoply divine, angel furnace, which emits no stain. Go bid proud man his boasted rule resign,
Yeah.
and kiss the golden scepter of thy reign. Like that pretty much says like, let's overthrow
Yeah.
men, take them off their throne.
It's basically telling like that the man, like the woman will just step over the man and have the man like resign the roles and the rules and everything and accept their like the woman rule instead. That's what I feel.
I thought it was interesting. Sister Ho's comments on the assignment. Oh, it didn't take a long time to load, but she was just talking about how the second author, I forgot her name, Wollstonecraft, or Wollstonecraft, Mary, how like Sister Ho just like described her like I forgot what kind of argument she said. I think it was like a conceding argument, or just like not like completely saying that the other argument, or like that men were wrong and that women were inferior in like, but in doing so, like she was trying to, I don't know, doing that to get what she wanted, and that was like education for women so that they could like be more informed and have more skills to do things in the real world. I don't know. I just thought that was interesting how that was like her way to go about that. Yeah, conceding a point, admitting your opponent may be right.
Oh yeah. That's yeah. I think that's the main difference. Like you're saying, the second author like concedes like the opposition's point of view a lot, and the first one doesn't really acknowledge it at all. I don't think.
But like I thought another thing that was kind of weird was in like the assignment like summary thing, directions. It says that the first poem, the woman says like in the beginning, she's kind of saying like beauty is a power, but in the end, like they still like I forgot the exact words. Let me read it. But in the end, women are soft, and they can only pursue love through their beauty, which is weird because that's not really what I felt like I got out of the poem.
Yeah, the last stanza is a little bit. Like, it kind of like distracts from like all the empowerment from the beginning.
I know, so I'm so confused.
Yeah, I'm a little bit too. But it says like, and like it sounds like they're saying, okay, I'll just read. Then abandon each ambitious thought. Conquest or rule thy heart shall feebly move, and nature is schooled by her soft taught that separate rights are full of. So it sounds, it sounds like to me like it's saying like, oh, if you want to be in love or fall in love, then you have to like give away all that power. I don't, and be a soft person. I don't know.
I think that was the last question, yeah?
Yeah, that's the question. So I guess we could just talk about like what we want to put in the paper.
Yeah. So we should start with a statement what this woman have to say, how women relate to beauty. Anyone has any idea on that?
I think the way women relate to beauty is they relate to beauty when they were on the chase to get out men. I don't know if that's the way to say it, but like when they wanted to attract a man, that was the way women related to beauty.
So the first writer says women can overcome men, resign them from the reign, but you can only pursue love. Beauty. Whereas the
Wait, can you say
second
that again?
let's see, well, if you read I think if you read the text that she put by the different authors, it helps figure out kind of the different points. Like the first one is writing about women using beauty further to like overthrow the patriarchy. But they must pursue love through their beauty, so they don't throw their beauty away. And the second author concedes a point. She talks about kind of in opposition of the other authors. She talks about some of the ways women are inferior, but we just need to give them a chance to prove themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Anything else you guys want to add?
Let's see.
I have some quotes that like might help for the second author, Mary. That just talk about like how like women are like raised to like someone already mentioned this quote, but how they're like raised from like birth throughout all their lives to be like graceful and beautiful and stuff like that.
That's also mentioned in the poem too. So can all of you send the quote that you say, or basically your note, to our group chat? So I can combine all of your ideas.
Yeah, I know what to say.
It would be good to like kind of a little bit of explanation, a sentence or two, like what point you want to make from that.
Okay, I think, yeah, we should be good. I posted a couple things. So I guess Beam, just like message if you have any questions or
Yeah.
if you're unsure about like the thesis or anything.
Okay.